I bought the car because it was cheap, but mostly because it looked like a perfect relic, untouched by time. It was an old black sedan, parked at the edge of a forgotten town called Greyhaven. The kind of place where dust settles on everything, including memories. The seller was a strange man, gaunt and nervous. He avoided eye contact the whole time, his gaze fixed on something over my shoulder. He handed me the keys, his hand trembling slightly, and before he practically vanished into the misty air, he said just one thing: "Don't turn it off in the dark." I just laughed it off. What kind of weirdo says that? I got in, turned the key, and the engine rumbled to life. It sounded perfect. A deep, steady purr that was smoother than any modern car I'd ever driven. I drove away from Greyhaven without a second glance, feeling like I'd gotten the deal of a lifetime. That night, the real journey began. I was driving home, taking a winding mountain road I knew well. The moon was a sliver in the sky, and the trees on either side of the road formed a dark, impenetrable wall. It was then that I noticed something strange. The fuel gauge hadn't moved an inch since I left the town. I must have driven 100 miles, but it was still stuck on full. It was bizarre, but I figured it was just a quirk of an old car. I pulled into a deserted rest area, the gravel crunching under the tires. The place was empty, just a single flickering lamp casting long, dancing shadows. I turned the key to shut the engine off. Nothing happened. Jet. The engine kept running, its low hum vibrating through the driver's seat. I tried again, turning the key back and forth. Still nothing. The engine just wouldn't quit. Then, the radio crackled to life, all on its own. Static filled the car for a moment before a low, gravelly voice began to whisper. It wasn't a broadcast. It was something else, something personal. Thors. The voice was giving directions, telling me where to turn, which fork in the road to take. A cold dread started to creep up my spine. I reached out and frantically spun the volume knob down, but it had no effect. The whisper continued, calm and persistent, as if it was coming from inside my own head. I glanced in the rearview mirror, hoping to see the familiar lights of the rest area. But the road behind me was gone. There was nothing but an all-consuming, inky blackness. It wasn't just dark, it was an absence of everything, a void that seemed to be swallowing the world behind me. That's when the car began to accelerate. My foot was nowhere near the pedal, but the sedan surged forward, picking up speed on its own. The speedometer needle climbed steadily. 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. Through. The winding road became a terrifying blur. I slammed my foot on the brakes, pushing with all my might, but they felt soft and useless, like stepping on a sponge. The car didn't even slow down. The whispering voice on the radio spoke again, its tone chillingly serene. This road remembers everyone. Panic set in. I was no longer a driver. I was a prisoner. Up ahead, I saw a pair of headlights, stopped right in the middle of the road. A wave of relief washed over me. Someone else was out here. But as I shot past them, the relief turned to pure horror. They weren't just stopped cars. They were wrecks, half buried in the asphalt itself, rusted and overgrown with weeds. Each one looked like it had been driving this same road forever, its journey never ending. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the car began to slow down. I pulled over near a dilapidated, abandoned gas station, the kind you see in old horror movies. The engine, which had been running non-stop, finally sputtered and died on its own. The silence was deafening. Without a second thought, I threw the door open and ran. I didn't look back. I just ran through the woods, thorns and branches tearing at my clothes. Until I hit another road and flagged down a passing truck. The next morning, I was home, trying to convince myself it was all a nightmare. But then I saw the news. A local channel was reporting a missing driver on that same mountain road. The description they gave, it matched me perfectly. That night, I was sitting in my living room, curtains drawn, when I heard it. A low, familiar rumble. I peeked outside. There, parked across the street, under a streetlight, was the black sedan. Its engine was running. And then, I heard a faint whisper carried on the wind, a sound I knew I'd never escape. The radio, somehow, was whispering my name. It was then that I finally understood the seller's warning, the car's true nature. The car doesn't take lives. It takes drivers. And it never, ever turns off until its journey is done. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more true style horror stories just like this one. Thanks for watching!